I'm Abbott Morgan, and I learned the fascinating truth about the income tax at losthorizons.com. Then I filed a tax return knowledgeably for the first time in my life. Now, I haven't gotten all my money back yet, but as soon as those accurate returns went in the mail, I got back my dignity as a confident, self-governing, free American. And I did that by reading this. Cracking the Code, The Fascinating Truth About Taxation in America by Peter Hendrickson. Now, you will not regret picking up a copy of this bad boy right here. One of the best books I've ever read. So, enjoy, and happy reading, Cracking the Code.
I decided that, okay, I need to find what the truth is, and for me it was important to know the truth regardless of what my desire was for that truth to be. It was really important that I find the truth, even if it went against my best interest. If the truth was that I ended up owing a ton of money, so be it, if that was the truth. But if the truth was that I didn't know it, I wanted to know. And so I just prayed about it, because I was hitting a brick wall over and over again. I kept finding what sounded good, but was just not, it just didn't seem legal to me. It didn't seem right. And I have a lot of respect for the law. So I finally came across this website that showed me, okay, these are a lot of fallacies about the law. Here's what the law actually says. And then I thought, well, that's not even good enough. I want to know what the law says. And then I started reading the law. And I just believe in my heart that knowledge is power. And that if you know what the law says, the law that you are beholden to, the law that you are expected to obey, especially when, it's not just when the law tells you not to do something, if it forbids something, you should know those laws. But you are also responsible, and it's in your best interest to know the laws that require you to proactively do something. It's really important to know what those laws say, and I would say that most people in this country not only don't understand the tax laws that they are trying to comply with, but probably learned about how to file a tax return from their mom, you know, from their uncle. They certainly didn't learn it by reading the law that has to do with that. And it took me, I've been filing incorrectly for 30 years, and when I finally figured it out, and I read the law and read these definitions and realized that they had nothing to do with me most of the time. It doesn't mean never. There are times when I could engage in taxable activity. It's possible. Things change from year to year. Anybody could be subject to income tax at any time. But most of us aren't most of the time. When I realized that, that's very liberating.
So have you had some success with anything with the IRS you'd like to tell?
Yeah. 2007, I filed my income tax return properly this time, and I got back every penny that was withheld from our pay, for including federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare taxes.
How many years back did you go? Just
Well,
one?
then I've also amended back to 2003, so I've amended some returns as well. And so we'll see what happens with those. I'm still duking that out.
So you got back 1 year's worth, and you're trying to get back another 3?
Well, I haven't filed for 2008 yet. I got an extension, so I'm going to be filing for 2008, and I expect to get all that back as well. Yeah,
So you've already...
now the good news is I don't itemize deductions anymore. I don't file schedules anymore. I don't save a stinking receipt. I don't have to. Because unless I anticipate that in that given year I'm going to make, you know, if you're married filing jointly, you have up to, it's like $12,000 if you consider your standard deduction and your personal exemptions that they give you without itemizing anything. That's about 12 grand in federal money that you can make and still have no tax liability. What's the point of keeping receipts and itemizing unless you think to yourself, I'm actually going to be making more than $12,000 in federal income, in wages, which are very specifically defined and are not all that comes in. So yeah, I'd take 10 minutes to fill out a tax return now. Talk about the Paper Reduction Act. You'd think that they would put that on the Paper Reduction Act.
Okay,
By the way, it only should take you about 10 minutes to fill out.
So you got 1 year's back already, and you when you file for next year, you expect to get that back.
I haven't filed for 2008 yet, but when I do, I expect to get all of that back.
And you've amended 3 years?
I've amended for 2006, 2005, 2004, and 2003 because I'm from California, and California gives you 4 years to amend your return.
4 years. Okay, so you're talking about state and federal, or just?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I did a lot of tax returns. Stupidly, I did them all in one day. I filed them all together. But yeah, you can go back 3 years. That's what the federal government says that you can have to get it right.
And what do you believe, or maybe I should say, what do you know about? You say you're also getting your Social Security back now, so that amount won't apply to your. When you go, you intend to collect Social Security if it's available to you to collect?
Chances are, by the time I become 65, and I'm not going to tell you my age, but way in the future when I turn 65, the chances are that the Social Security will not be in existence anymore. It's probably going to be done within the next 10 years.
Okay, and then
but that's not answering your question. So, to answer your question, I don't know yet if we would apply for Social Security, but hypothetically, if we chose to file for Social Security, we're already vested, which it's not really a vesting, but you're supposed to put in about 10 years of
40 quarters.
40 quarters. We've already done that. So even if I don't pay in another dime to Social Security, I'm still entitled to full benefits at my retirement, regardless of what I put in now, or for the last 3 years. Even if I amend and say, you know, the truth, which is that I didn't actually get wages for the last 4 years, I still was long ago had my 40. And it doesn't matter anyway because it's a government dole program and the government is bankrupt. It's not going to be paid out to me. If it is, it won't be for long. I just don't think it's going to be an issue. But in my case, because of our age and because of how long we've been filing tax returns and getting it wrong and declaring that everything we've made, every penny that we've made is income, I put in my 40 units. In other words, I've paid enough to the government in taxes that I did not owe, and now I'm stopping that. I'm not doing that. Don't be daunted by the idea of reading the law. The definitions are just about as easy a piece of law as you'll ever read. It's a definition. Anybody can read that.
But you go into a law library and it's just so massive. Wall-to-wall books for.
Don't get online. It's all online now. Everything's been digitized now. You can get online. Just Google 26 USC 7701 and read it. 26 USC 3401. Read about what wages really means. 26 USC 3121. Read the definitions. 7701, read the definition of what is the United States. That'd be an eye-opener for you. And start to actually read these definitions. And when you do, and you realize that these things don't apply to you most of the time, or they might apply to you some of the time, but not enough to create a tax liability, it's an amazingly freeing thing. It's extremely liberating to understand how these laws do and do not apply to you. And then you can make your decision. Then if you choose to go ahead and continue to pay the government all this money, that's your choice. But don't do it because don't pay these things in because you think you have to. And I say this with all love for people and all respect, but most people do operate out of fear and ignorance. And, you know, I've long been of the belief that that's no way to live your life. And if you decide that you're going to live your life out of faith and knowledge, your quality of life will improve dramatically. Arm yourself with knowledge, arm yourself with the law, and walk in faith and knowledge, and I think you'll be okay.